the night before with steel cut oats. Something easy to prepare for the next day, so then you just open up the fridge and heat some up. All right, so steel cut oats are probably the best. Next, you have rolled oats. You probably have seen rolled oats, and if you didn't, now I want to tell you, rolled oats are a little chewier than steel cut oats, and these are actually really good if you're making oatmeal cookies because of the texture, the chewy texture. So what's a rolled oat? All right, it's actually the whole oat kernels that are steamed, and it softens them up, steams them up, and steaming them gives the oats a creamier texture. Then they're flattened out and rolled flat, okay? Kind of like pizza dough, so to speak. And that changes the texture. You get this creamy texture, and then they dry those rolled oats in an oven. As you can tell, it's a little bit more processed than the steel cut oats. It's still okay, not too processed. But doing that actually changes the nature of the oats a little bit, which is why it starts to get into ultra processed. But it's got a lot of faster cooking time because it's already steamed. All right, it's basically already cooked. And all you got to do is to heat that in water for maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes max. Quick cooking because it's basically already cooked oats. And then finally, you've got instant oatmeal. And this is what I told you I grew up with. All right. These are super ultra processed. You know, I would never feed it to a family today. It's the least desirable if you actually have a choice of rolled oats or steel cut oats. And the reason is that's ultra processed. And these oats are convenient. I got to tell you, this oatmeal is very convenient. They come in packages, and they're labeled in boxes, and they've got, cinnamon. They've got maple flavor. They come with apple pieces. Because they're often packaged in plastic, watch out. This ultra processed food packaging can actually contain microplastics that get shed in there. So this is another reason I'm giving you the caution that the ultra processed version of oatmeals are not the most desirable one. Now, these instant oats are pre-cooked, all right? They're rolled flat. They're cut into small flakes. All right, they're super fast to prepare because they're basically cooked and they're tiny, so they actually cook quickly. And they actually then are pre-portioned out into servings. And then additives are put into the package, all right? They might add sugar. They might add artificial flavoring. They might add preservatives. They might add artificial coloring. That's definitely not for the healthiest form of oatmeal. And sometimes they've got little bits of fruit that might be in there, like dried apples. And again, that's dried apples is ultra processed from someone else, some other company that put them in, and they're mixing them all together. And if you look at the side of the package, you'll see all those ingredients that are in there. So definitely check the ingredients to make sure that you're comfortable with everything that you're actually eating. Now, instant oatmeal cooks super fast, like, just a couple of minutes, boom, you're done. They're kind of mushy because they're already pre-cooked and pretty massaged. And so that's not really the ideal way, but they're super convenient. And that's really what led us down this path of eating a lot of ultra convenient food, cheap and fast. But now we know cheap and fast may not be the best way to actually have your breakfast. You'd rather, like every other meal, have a little bit of the less processed food, have the whole food. That version is best. Now, how about making oatmeal? I told you, if you can get steel cut oats, you could just prepare them the night before. So what I do is I boil some water on the stovetop, all right? I add steel cut oats. The directions are on the box or the package. Bring it to a boil. Here's a little pro tip. Add a pinch of salt, because a pinch of salt, not a lot, a pinch. Actually, that brings out the flavor of the oats. It makes it a little bit more sophisticated, a little tastier, actually. And then lower the heat to a simmer. Okay, and simmer it for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Like check it around 20, 30 minutes. Taste it. You got to stir it every now and then so it doesn't burn on the bottom. But that's why you want to simmer. And then cook it. And basically once it's done, let's say it's in 30 minutes, okay, take it off the heat, let it cool for about 10 minutes. And then you can actually put it into a bowl or a jar or a container, hopefully a glass container. Don't use plastic. Okay, you don't want microplastics in your oatmeal. And then you can cool it overnight and chill it overnight, and the water will get absorbed, and the oatmeal will be pretty fluffy the next morning. All right, after you've cooked it, you've rested it, now you're storing it. The water will get even more absorbed. In the morning, you got ready cooked, pre-cooked oatmeal. add a little bit of water to it, put it on the stove and heat it up, okay? Please don't heat it in a microwave. It's a carbohydrate, and the water's mostly been absorbed. You don't want to be creating chemical byproducts of heating carbs. So just add some water, put it on the stove, stir it up. Now you've made your own instant oatmeal, but you've actually done it from scratch the night before. It doesn't take a long time, and it really is great. Okay. Now, the other thing is, if you wanted to add a splash of dairy to it, that's fine. We're going to talk about dairy in just a little bit, but I also suggest that this is a good opportunity to use a plant-based milk. Soy milk works well, almond milk works well, oat milks work well, cashew milk, all great options if you want to actually create a little bit of that creaminess to your steel-cut oatmeal that you made the night before. Then toppings, all right? I love adding healthy things to my healthy oatmeal. So here's some suggestions. Berries, strawberries, blueberries. Strawberries have ellagic acid, anti-inflammatory, good for your metabolism. Blueberries have anthocyanins, anti-inflammatory, good for your metabolism. They both cut off the blood supply, feeding cancers. What's not to like about that? They're also good for our stem cells to help us heal. And you can actually add some crushed nuts if you want to use this as an opportunity to add some tree nuts to your oatmeal. Pistachios, walnuts, hazelnuts. Those are all great things to add to oatmeal. And you can add some cut fruit. Now, what I do is I sort of think about cut fruits like kiwi or mango or peaches. Whatever is actually seasonal, you can actually add that on top of the oatmeal. If you want it a little sweet, okay, I do not put added cane sugar, don't put stevia, don't put these artificial sweeteners. Fruit actually is a great way of sweetening it. And if you want to sweeten just a little bit more, add just a touch of maple syrup. All right, like grade A amber maple syrup, just a little bit, stir it in there. You'll get a little bit of that sweet hit, and it'll actually work really nicely with the oatmeal. And that's the way to actually have oatmeal. So oatmeal, check, good for you, but you want to choose carefully and prepare the right way for health. Let's talk about eggs. For breakfast, here's what you need to know about eggs. Eggs are a breakfast staple. Eggs are healthy. Thumbs up on eggs. They're a great source of protein. They're also a great source of something called choline, choline. Choline is something that your brain needs to signal. If your brain cell wants to signal another cell, it needs choline to do that text messaging. And eggs are also a great source of bioactives called lutein and zeaxanthin. All right, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are great for aging eyes. They protect your vision against a condition called wet macular degeneration, wet AMD, age-related macular degeneration. Most common cause of vision loss over the age of 60. So if you're watching this and you're over the age of 60, you should be having lutein and zeaxanthin. And AMD, macular degeneration, is something that happens because the back of the eye, called the retina, has a nerve carpet. That's the retinal nerves. And underneath that are blood vessels that are feeding those nerves, right? Now, what happens is that you need the retina, the nerve layer, the carpet. It's like an beautiful oriental carpet of nerves that are receiving light. So light outside enters the eye through your cornea, goes right through all the clear stuff, right through the lens, and gets focused onto the retina. Now you're seeing what I'm seeing. The light's coming right in, and that nerve layer gets turned on, and it sends the electrical signal right to your brain. All right, so your retina is kind of an extension of your brain. It's part of your brain. The blood vessels underneath it are nourishing that nerve layer, the retinal blood supply. Now, in age-related macular degeneration, the wet form, wet AMD, those blood vessels get really, really leaky. And you know what happens when blood vessels start leaking? Well, just like a pipe that's bursting underneath your carpet, you get waterlogged. So the water seeps out, it starts to swell up that carpet of nerve layers, not what you want. And then if the pipe really bursts, okay, and we're not talking about blood vessel bursting, but we're just talking about leakage. Now you've got a pool of water, and that pool of water underneath the carpet of the nerves of the retina in your eye actually causes vision loss. And macular degeneration occurs right in the center part of your vision. All right. So if I were to actually block your vision just like this, all right, now you can't actually see what's in front of you. You can only see the sides. That is what actually happens with age-related macular degeneration. It's completely black in the middle. You can see in the sides. It's not a good thing to have happen. Now, I work in an area called angiogenesis, how the body grows and controls blood vessels. So out of the work that I've done many years ago, we